Weather forecast now. Delhi, maximum 35 and minimum 24 degrees. Mumbai, maximum 30 and minimum 23 degrees. Kolkata, maximum 41 and minimum 26 degrees. Bangalore, maximum 34 and minimum 26 degrees. Chennai, maximum 35 and minimum 24 degrees. Hyderabad, maximum 38 and minimum 23 degrees.
Co-powered by Aditya Birla Sun Life AMC Limited.
Good evening, you're watching To The Point. I'm Preeti Choudhry. India delivered retribution last night. Operation Sindoor struck with precision, but with it also empathy was delivered to many of the women who've been wanting justice, wanting revenge. We're going to get our viewers the latest on that and the latest news that's coming in. First, allow me to take you through the headlines. India avenges Pahalgam terror attack. India hits Pakistan terror targets, kill 80 to 90 terrorists. Images of destroyed Jaish and Lashkar terror camps and in POK. India targets Lashkar headquarters in Muridke and Jaish terror headquarters in Bahawalpur. Jaish chief Masood Azhar loses 10 family members in this strike. Real-time images of Operation Sindoor. Videos show how India fired missiles on Pakistan terror hubs. Indian missiles rained on terror camps for 25 minutes. Prime Minister Modi chose the name of Operation Sindoor. Operation Sindoor named to avenge Pahalgam widows. Prime Minister Modi's message will avenge widowed women. Prime Minister lauds Operation Sindoor in Union Cabinet meeting, calls it a proud moment. Prime Minister Modi meets President Murmu at Rashtrapati Bhavan. Coward Pakistan targets civilians, 10 civilians killed at Punch, Jammu and Kashmir. India bleeds Pakistan terror machinery. Pakistan goes after innocents. India holds mock security drills across states. India gears up for blackout measures next. Briefing given to civilians on safety, evacuation and bunker safety. All right, let me quickly take you across to the latest news break that is filtering in right now, viewers. We've been given to understand that after India's strike on Pakistan, word coming in from government sources, Indian army did not suffer any losses. Government sources suggest India will respond if Pakistan retaliates. India steps up fight against Pakistan terror. India could strike more terror camps in days to come. India may take similar action soon. What is it contingent on? I want to quickly cut across to senior journalist Sandeep Unithan, who's joining us with the very latest coming in. But I want to quickly take our viewers through the latest news break that is coming in right now. And that seems to suggest that if Pakistan retaliates, India will not be shy of escalating then. I want to first cut across to Himanshu Mishra, then I want to bring in Sandeep Unithan, senior journalist in the studio with me. Himanshu, what more can you add?
देखिए बिल्कुल सरकार की तरफ से जो खबर में अभी हमारे पास जानकारी आई है वो ये है, ऑपरेशन सिंदूर के दौरान सेना को किसी भी तरीके का कोई भी जान माल का नुकसान नहीं हुआ है। अगर पाकिस्तान की ओर से जवाबी कार्रवाई की जाएगी तो भारत उसका मुंह तोड़ जवाब देगा और इससे बड़ा जवाब जो है भारत देगा अगर रिटेलिएशन पाकिस्तान की तरफ से दोबारा होता है। और सरकार का ये मानना है सटीक इंफॉर्मेशन थी, सटीक जगह पर जो है वो निशाने लगाए गए और जो खुफिया जानकारियां थी उन्हीं के आधार पर जो है पूरी तरीके से ऑपरेशन सिंदूर को जो है वो किया गया।
बहुत शुक्रिया Himanshu. Thank you for joining us with that quick update. I want to cut across to Sandeep Unithan, who's joining us in the studio for a deeper understanding of what India is really looking at, Sandeep, at this point of time, because India has made it very clear in that press note that was released quickly after the strikes in Pakistan that India is not looking to escalate. This should not be seen as an escalation. It was a measured response. Where does India stand now? If Pakistan retaliates, I think India has made it very clear it's not going to be shy to respond back.
Absolutely, Preeti. And in fact, if you heard Foreign Secretary Vikram Misri's statement and you read between the lines of his statement, it was very clear that India made a point that the attacks were against the terrorist infrastructure. They were not against civilians. They were not against the Pakistan military. No Pakistan military targets were hit. What was struck were terrorist targets inside Pakistan. These attacks were measured, proportionate, responsive, and most importantly, non-escalatory. Non-escalatory meaning that it was now up to Pakistan to choose whether it wanted to sit quietly or then choose to escalate the situation further. And if there is an escalation, Preeti, then it is up to India to respond to that escalation with choosing more targets. Out of 21 out of the targets that were shown by the Indian government today, only 9 were hit. Therefore, the government is indicating that there are several other targets that it could strike, terrorist targets, it could strike military targets next if Pakistan chose to escalate to the next level. So it's entirely on Pakistan, what it wants to do. What does the Pakistan military want to do with
so, Sandeep,
these
the ball is
today?
technically in Pakistan's court right now. India has retaliated, and you are right, in that press brief which came quickly after the strikes in Pakistan, India has reiterated, and I would reckon if there are 3 words that we underline and double line again, that would be non-escalatory, a measured response, and civilians were not attacked, and neither were any Pakistan establishments attacked. Having said that, Sandeep, Pakistan has deemed this as an act of war. They have said that they are going to retaliate at a time of their choosing. How do you read it for someone who's studied Pakistan very closely in the conflicts earlier?
Well, Preeti, it's a big blow to the Pakistan military. The attacks that unfolded, Operation Sindoor is the largest series of attacks that India has conducted on Pakistani soil after 1971. That's more than half a century. That you've targeted targets across the breadth of Pakistan. The northernmost target and the southernmost target are separated by 700 kilometers almost. That's from POK, Pakistan Occupied Kashmir, right down to Pakistan's Punjab province, Bahawalpur. This is the spread of targets that have been chosen. 5 of these targets were in Punjab province. Again, Punjab province has never been attacked by India. But here again, they have been very careful to choose the words that they struck only terrorist infrastructure inside Punjab province. Now, Punjab province is the heartland of Pakistan. It is where 80% of the Pakistan military comes from. So, looking at the way how unpredictable the Pakistan military has been in the last couple of months under General Asim Munir, it's quite possible that they could choose the path of escalation because they have been very unpredictable under
Sandeep,
Asim Munir.
does the defense minister of Pakistan's word matter at all? Because he seems to be suggesting that if India doesn't act any more from what it's already done, then Pakistan will not retaliate. Because ultimately everything there, as we've seen it in the past, is in the hands of the Pakistan army. And there were contradictory statements that were coming in any case through the course of the last 8 to 10 hours, one from the army and one from the executive, which is of course the government.
Well, 2 voices there, Preeti. You have the civilian government saying one thing and you have the military doing something entirely different. And we've seen this dual-faced approach during the Kargil war when the civilian government was receiving Prime Minister Vajpayee, the Lahore bus yatra, and then you had the military simultaneously planning the Kargil offensive. So I wouldn't take this very seriously, what the defense minister says. I will look at what the Pakistan military does next.
Right. And, and there's a sinister message in that. I appreciate you joining us, Sandeep. Thank you. We're going to keep coming back to you for more. Viewers, India struck with precision where 9 terror launch pads in Pakistan was concerned. This was a successful Operation Sindoor. But viewers, there was also a message of unity and empathy back home. Empathy delivered with utmost vengeance.
In the shadow of rising tensions between India and Pakistan came a moment of strength, unity, and a message. Just hours after India's Operation Sindoor hit terror camps in Pakistan and Pakistan-occupied Kashmir, two women, two warriors stood before the nation.
6 से 7 मई
Colonel Sophia Qureshi, Wing Commander Vyomika Singh.
And successfully destroyed.
Two women officers, two different fates.
1:30 बजे
One message, loud, clear, and unshakable. The unity of the nation that terror failed to break. The Nari Shakti movement that shook the enemy and inspired a nation. Colonel Qureshi, a trailblazer. In 2016, she became the first woman to lead an Indian Army contingent in a multinational military exercise. Her global experience includes 6 years with United Nations peacekeeping operations, notably in Congo in 2006.
ऑपरेशन सिंदूर 22 अप्रैल को पहलगाम में हुए विभत्स आतंकवादी हमले के शिकार मासूम नागरिकों व उनके परिवारों को न्याय देने के लिए लॉन्च किया गया था। इस कार्रवाई में 9 टेररिस्ट कैंप्स को टारगेट किया गया और पूरी तरह से इसे बर्बाद किया गया। पिछले 3 दशकों से टेरर इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर का निर्माण हो रहा है। इसमें रिक्रूटमेंट, इंडोक्ट्रिनेशन सेंटर्स, ट्रेनिंग एरियाज व लॉन्च पैड शामिल थे।
Wing Commander Vyomika Singh, a fighter in the skies, a high-altitude rescue hero in Arunachal, a permanent commission in the flying branch.
A niche technology weapons with careful selection of warheads was ensured so that there will be no collateral damage. The point of impact in each of the target was a specific building or a group of buildings. All the targets were neutralized with clinical efficiency, and the results reiterate the professionalism of the Indian Armed Forces in the planning and execution of their operations.
Together, they did not just brief the nation, they became the face of New India. Operation Sindoor sent a message across the border. But this moment sent one across the world. India stands united. Bureau Report, India Today.
Jai Hind, and thank you very much.
Because Operation Sindoor was loaded with symbolism, not just the fact that it was called Operation Sindoor for a reason. The Prime Minister picked the word Operation Sindoor to avenge the widows of Pahalgam. So loaded with symbolism just there, but not just that. India chose 2 women to front the press briefing to the world of Operation Sindoor, the fine print, the micro details of the operation, and 2 women from 2 very different faiths, one Muslim and one Hindu, giving out a larger message, not just of empathy, where women were concerned who were involved in this attack because their husbands were taken away shortly after their marriage, but also to that of unity back home, where you had 2 women conduct that press briefing to the world coming in from 2 different faiths. Clear messaging there. I want to cut across to our guest this evening. Joining me, Dr. Tara Kartha. She is a terrorism security expert, former director, National Security Council Secretariat, squadron leader Debolina Das, defense expert, Baswanti Mukherjee, former diplomat, Gitika Lidda, author and wife of late Brigadier Ellis Lidda, squadron leader Preeti Choudhry is with me in the studio, former transport pilot and drone operator. Captain Manjula Katoch, former army officer, is also in the studio with me in Noida. I want to come to you first, Squadron Leader Choudhry. When you saw the operation unfold, I think shortly after 1:45 a.m. at night, at about 3 a.m., you had the army that already issued out a statement suggesting Operation Sindoor was a success. The sheer word Sindoor, how did it hit home in terms of why the word Operation Sindoor? And then today you had 2 women who headed this press briefing coming in from 2 very different faiths. So even though the operation was precise, conducted with precision, delivered, but so much empathy also delivered with it and a strong message?
See, Jai Hind everyone. Preeti, the word Sindoor, it has a deep symbolic meaning in context of Indian culture. And now it was a clear-cut message across border that हम अपनी फौज की जवाब language में we call it मुंह तोड़ जवाब. So it was a clear-cut message to them, and the beauty was the way this operation was conducted using the armaments, the precision missiles which were used, because of which the collateral was, there was hardly any collateral. So the reason why precision armaments, precision strike was done, so that was the beauty of this whole operation. And once I saw the operation briefing was covered by two armed forces women officers. I am fortunate enough to having worked with one of them, Wing Commander Vyomika Singh, with whom I was in 2015. I was in the Republic Day parade with her. So it is a moment of pride for all of us.
There was a sense of pride, you feel,
yes,
when you saw these both women. Why do you think, Officer Captain, that the government today chose two women to speak to the world on how Operation Sindoor was conducted?
Absolutely, absolutely. See, whatever happens in armed forces is just not by, chance. A lot of thought has got into this, and there's a message, that's a strong message which has gone to the world, that when it comes to, defending our nation, we are both the male and the female of armed forces. We both work shoulder to shoulder to give a strong, befitting reply to what they had done at Pahalgam. And yes, choosing women officers there for the press belief and of two different faiths. What they were talking about, ki Hindu puch ke goli mari, Hindu puch ke goli mari, they were trying to divide us. But here in India, and more so in armed forces, we are not divided. We are not getting into the trap of Hindu-Muslim. We are all one. And this unity is our strength.
So there was a deeper meaning.
Absolutely, deeper meaning. It was not by chance that they were from different two faiths. There was a thought put into this. And the thought and the very clear message was that we are together for our nation, and our unity is definitely our strength. And second most important thing here was, despite our might, the the armed forces might, the operation was very, very precision was there in the operation.
Precise, yes.
Absolutely. And the targets that the targets that we chose were very, very deliberate. And what you said, the empathy was there. It was not, there was no collateral damage, and morality, our morality was intact in this. And we need business, because we are only against terrorism. We are not against any religion. We are not against the civilian population of any of the country. We are against terrorism, and we will fight against terrorism. So the message is loud and clear, whether it's about the this Operation Sindoor, the word very Sindoor, it is very, very symbolic. That means that we value our values, our traditions, our women so much.
So symbolic and a strong message back home, and a strong message to Pakistan in itself, seeming to suggest, if you're not going to dismantle these terror camps, we will do it. We will do it with utmost precision. Before I let both you ladies go, I will bring you back in, Squadron Leader Geetika. Why do you think, what was the thought behind choosing two women to project to the world in the first press briefing when India's practically scripted history in retaliating against terror where Pakistan is concerned? Why the thought? What was the message that India was trying to send out?
As the name suggests, the Operation Sindoor, it was a message that what has happened during Pahalgam attack. If you remember that photograph, that video where the woman is sitting behind a dead body of his partner, and they have just newly married, and the emotions, I still get goosebumps when I imagine that scenario, what would have happened there. So bringing out two women officers was also that we are continuing sending this message, and we are ready for any retaliation, anything you may have. We are all set and ready. And the best part is what Indian Armed Forces has come up with is the element of surprise, if you see. So after 22nd, we waited. People are all busy in practicing the mock drill, and
So
civilians
the
were
timing of our
charged up.
choice.
Yes.
Right.
So the element of surprise
was also there. Well,
Yeah.
thank you, ladies, for joining us. I want to cut across right now to Gitika Lidder. Ms. Lidder, what do you make? Because I would think the best way to describe, at least with what has happened in terms of the messaging at the back of it, is bigger, because it was empathy back home delivered with utmost vengeance, precision.
So exactly, in fact, all has been said, and enough and more has been said about the symbolism of the nomenclature of the operation, the precision with which we went in, the surprise element. There are uniformed officers on the panel, ex-uniformed officers on the panel today who have already summed it up beautifully. But as a normal Indian citizen and a soldier's wife, I can only say that we are very, very proud. I mean, we are very proud Indians today to have witnessed a historic event of this nature, because it is the duty of the defense forces and the government of any country to protect its own. And the way they have done it in a very, very non-escalatory, the key word here is non-escalatory, an act of response rather than an act of terror, is something that I'm extremely proud of. The strategy behind it, the timing, and the way that they have gone in, and the tremendous restraint that they have. I mean, it is not a show of military might, it is a show of citizens' right. So I'm very, very honored to be here to say that I'm a very proud Indian today. And those 28 homes who have suffered in the last few days would probably get peaceful sleep today.
You know, if there is something called closure, I don't know if it is, but maybe that. But, you know, Ms. Lidder, I want to bring you back in for one more comment. And why do you think? Because it wasn't just happenstance or chance. India, you know, on purpose, deliberately put 2 women officers to brief not just India, but the world on Operation Sindoor. And not just that there were 2 women, they came from 2 very different faiths, so there was a larger messaging in that as well.
Absolutely, because maybe the nomenclature of Sindoor would probably, lean towards a particular religion, but we are agnostic to any such belief and faith. And I think the messaging there, coming from multi-faith women and they're not 2 army, they're not 2 air force, they're not 2 navy. So the fact that one is from the air force and one is from the army and different faiths, and both women to hold this all-time, historic, probably the most historic briefing in our lives. So says something about the thought process of the government and the defense forces today.
You know, Dr. Kartha, I want to pull you in on this, because what we saw yesterday, India's night of retribution, was anyway scripting history. But when we saw the press briefing, and I would agree with Ms. Lidder, where she says it's possibly one of the most historic press briefings of our lives, where you have these 2 women and coming in from 2 very different faiths to speak to the world on what India did and has taken onus responsibility for.
I think it was amazingly scripted. Very, very, very nicely done. And I think it showed a degree of sensitivity, which, generally you don't expect from a government. Because the government is this faceless being who does something somewhere. There's a bureaucracy. This was done. I mean, it was really quite amazing the way it has been, the whole thing has been choreographed. But the point I think I would like to make is that this is not over yet, right? So let's wait and see what happens. One hopes that other women elsewhere who are suffering on the line of control, they also get some strength from us, that they get the message that India will stand strongly at that. I mean, that is the central message. We are strong, we are united, we will retaliate.
Right. But, Dr. Tara Kartha, you're bang on where you say that, yes, it was loaded with positive symbolism and messaging, because usually, rarely do governments really think of these things. And that actually happened. We saw both the armed forces and the government coming in together on that. The Prime Minister picking the name, then the armed forces projecting 2 women to the world to brief them about Operation Sindoor, which was historic in any case. But Dr. Kartha, I'll ask you a larger question, because you're a defense strategic expert. And you're bang on when you say it's far from over. Why do you say that?
Well, we are seeing, like you said, the kind of shouting which is coming from across the border, especially oddly enough, which is being propagated in the Western press. The Pakistani press is not really playing it up, but I can find the Western press is really playing up this whole thing, saying that Pakistan is going to strike back and this and that and all the rest of it. And then, of course, there is the personal ego of General Munir. Until that ego is satisfied, after all, he's put one prime minister and 3 lieutenant generals in jail. So if he loses this round, he's going to be in trouble.
Fair point. I'm coming right back to you. I want to bring in Basmati Mukherjee. Basmati Mukherjee, a former diplomat, how do you view with what has taken place in the last 15 to 18 hours, Ms. Mukherjee?
I do believe that this is India's moment. It shows that India has arrived. It shows that it's a new and rising India, that we have, as you have very correctly put it, through our non-escalatory response, demonstrated that we are a responsible nation who only strikes back when it is essential to do so. We have done that. We have demonstrated our military power in a restrained manner. We could have gone in much further. We were not far from Rawalpindi, for that matter. We took out the target in an exemplary manner. We did not go in for civilian casualties. We actually demonstrated how military force should be used. We demonstrated that we are a responsible nation. But more than that, the symbolism that you asked our armed forces officers, I can tell you as a professional woman diplomat and a former ambassador, that the symbolism was there for every woman in India. That the fact that so many women had their husbands shot dead in the most cruel manner in front of them. And one of them said, "Kill me too." And the terrorist said, "I'm sparing you so that you can go and tell Prime Minister Modi." He was much more rude than that. I won't even say what he said. That message demonstrated that they thought we are a nation of weakling and we're going to take this lying down. But what did we demonstrate? We demonstrated. You said, go and tell Prime Minister Modi? Fine. But Prime Minister Modi and the entire nation which is behind him has demonstrated that you don't make our women widows and get away with it. It's not a question of religion. I'm very happy there were 2 women from different faiths. I'm a Hindu and I've never worn Sindoor. That's not the point. The symbolic point is that they came and they made widows of our women. And we demonstrated through the 2 women who were there, through all the women from the armed forces that you have in your panel, and I'm so proud of all of them, we demonstrated that India, its men and its women, its armed forces, its people are together today. And if they want, and this General Munir is considered called Mullah Munir, okay? This Mullah General Munir, he is welcome to rave and rant and do whatever he wants. He has got 4 days of ammunition, 4 days of fuel, and 4 days of money. So we'll see what he does in the next 4 days and 4 nights. We are ready for him. So if he escalates, we will decide. But when we do something, we think and we act. Unfortunately, that is not true for Pakistan's Chief of Army Staff.
You know, I want to bring in Squadron Leader Debulina Das as well. You know, taking off from what the former diplomat said, Ms. Das, the larger question, Squadron Leader Das, is governments usually never, and this is both. I'm not just talking about the government, I'm even talking about the armed forces, because we are so deeply involved, and as one should be, to you know, execute an opposition to perfection and precision, that you forget the larger, softer messaging of that operation. This time around, that didn't quite happen. Just the name, Operation Sindoor, has touched a chord with not just some of the women who lost their husbands, because we've been speaking to them, and some of them actually, you know, if this can be even an iota of a balm, has proven to be so, because they feel that it was retribution for them. And, you know, when you speak with them, if there is something called closure, that's come full circle for them, and that's saying an immense lot. So that was thought about, Ms. Das. On the other hand, who delivered the message? Two women, officers delivered the message coming in from two different armed forces, one from the Air Force, one from the Army. And then, because there's been so much rhetoric around it where religion and communal rhetoric is concerned, that to the world and back home, you gave an image and a message of unity, of having both these officers of two different faiths.
Yes, I would like to say that the name itself, Operation Sindoor, was to strike the right chord with all the women who lost their husbands in this Pahalgam attack. Because of that, because the Sindoor was taken off from their forehead, we had to retaliate to avenge that, because revenge is something that can give the ultimate balm to such a tragedy. So that is why the name Operation Sindoor, which rightly fits this operation to give that that hand, or that hand over the head of the citizens from the government, that we are there for you. Anything goes wrong with you, we will take care of you. This was the first message. And the second message, that two women organizing the briefing of this operation, tells us two things. One is they were from different faith. It tells us that we are united against terrorism in spite of whatever faith we are from. And the second thing, as we all know, that since it was symbolic, now symbolic for a woman is that empathy. Nobody else is more empathetic than a woman. Again, we also believe that hell hath no fear like the wrath of a woman. So if you have to consider both of them, that at one edge, we are talking about being empathy, being sympathetic, being soft, but at the other end, you do us wrong and you see our wrath. That is the example of being a woman. And by portraying these two women for giving the briefing, I think this is what the government and the forces wanted to show, that we are soft, we are empathetic, but if situation comes, we will burn you alive, and we will not have any kind of empathy in taking revenge against the Sindoor that you have taken away from us.
Fair point. I just want to get in all of you for the next 30 seconds each, and I'll begin with you, Ms. Lidder, because it seems the language of conflict is changing, not just how India, speaks militarily, strategically, but also how India addresses its own core constituency back home, because a lot of Operation Sindoor actually spoke to the people back home. You're on mute, ma'am.
It reminds me of like when we say that we are a government of the people, for the people, and by the people. It completely, epitomizes this entire thing, that this operation was for the women, to avenge the women, and the news and the entire briefing of it was held by the women. So that goes to say something about the strength of our forces also. And it's not just about the 11,000 women who serve as defense officers. It is also about the entire nation of women who is behind the strength of the nation. So that is, I think today we have really come out with flying colors as a nation which cares and a nation which dares.
Dr. Kartha, I want to bring you back in on the same, because for somebody who studied defense, strategic affairs, rarely, and I think it's quite unique to India itself, rarely have we seen retribution delivered with this kind of empathy, where, the language of that delivery is so well thought of, where the messaging is not just deterrence with Pakistan, but somewhere down the line also proves to be a balm on the most affected of it.
I think it was superb messaging. It was normally what you see is a lot of warmongering. You say, I will get you, I'll do this, I'll do that. This was, that Sindoor, whoever thought of it, hats off to that person. That fact that we are doing this for our women. And remember, see, when you say you're an economic power, I am a power, I've got X, Y, Z, all that power comes together when you do something like this. When you send that message, you can't mess with us, and you're doing it in a subdued way. You're not saying that I will bleed Pakistan. You said, we've done it. We've hit the targets, we're backing off, and here are officers with us. Amazing messaging. And it's a slap in the face of Pakistan.
Former diplomat Ms. Mukherjee, you want to come in and weigh on this? Because for somebody who's been a diplomat herself, you would have rarely seen this. I've actually, even if you look at internationally, retribution, revenge is common practice. We've seen it happen across the world between countries in conflict. But messaging which is loaded with symbolism such as this, which actually helps, like I said, put a balm on a population which has been most affected by it, is very, very unique.
Absolutely. I was told that the Operation Sindoor term was selected by Prime Minister himself. If that is true, then it shows how much sensitivity our Prime Minister has demonstrated towards the women of this country and towards those who are widowed in this tragic manner. Those photographs will be permanently etched on the memories of men and women of this country. But more than that, I would agree with your panelists who say that it was done in a very sensitive manner. We did not show any gung-ho spirit. We did it because we had to do it. It demonstrated the spirit of India. And if they want to escalate, as I said, we are a serious nation. We will think, and then we will do what we have to do. Because somebody has spoken about revenge. So I'd like to say that yes, and it's been rightly said that revenge is a dish best eaten cold. So that means it has to be thought of, and then we do what is to be done. If they escalate tonight, tomorrow or day after, we will decide what to do. But
Squadron Leader Deb, you want to come in on this? Final words?
I would just like to say that whatever has been done through this Operation Sindoor is bang on what was required at this moment. It was done to show them that we are against terrorism. The 9 sites of terrorism, which is the brooding ground from where terrorism is starting in that country, was annihilated. And that was not against the country. It was not against Pakistan. Maybe the message was that if you cannot take care of terrorism, we will do it for you. That was one kind of a message sent. And the message was sent through women because the wrong was done against them. And it is symbolic that if you do wrong against our women, women will come back and we will come back behind these women as a nation to avenge the wrong.
I appreciate all you women for joining us. And I think, we leave, this particular discussion, at least with one thought, that if it has proven to be even, some sort of a balm and some closure, if we can call it that, for the women, the Pahalgam widows who lost their husbands, or to members of the family of the 26 innocent lives that were lost, then the job is done. And to do it with this amount of empathy needs to be commended. A quick break. Stay with us.
Edge 60 Pro, the edge of excellence.
Long night?
You have no idea.
I got you.
Motorola Edge 60 Pro. Hello, Moto.
Motorola Edge 60 Pro, the edge of excellence.
नमस्कार, आइए जानते हैं अब तक की बड़ी खबरें प्रेजेंटेड बाय मोटोरोला। पाकिस्तान के पंजाब प्रांत में इमरजेंसी घोषित, ऑपरेशन सिंदूर पर बोले पीएम मोदी, देश के लिए गर्व का पल, मसूद के परिवार के 10 लोग एयर स्ट्राइक में मारे गए।
Warm welcome. You're watching To The Point. I'm Preeti Choudhry. Viewers, the latest coming in right now. Blackout mock drills are taking place across the country. We're going to get you the latest coming in. Once again, these were all planned mock drills that are taking place. We don't want to sound alarmist. This is not to panic anyone. This was all planned, not reactionary to what happened late last night. This has been part of the civic drills that have been taking place, civic defense drills that have been taking place through the course of the day. And now what we are witnessing is blackout drills, primarily needed to make citizens aware of what they need to do if at all we are in a position of conflict or in a place of war where Pakistan is concerned. Right now, we are close to neither of that. I want to cut across immediately to Dr. Kiran Bedi, former IPS officer and author. She's joining us live right now. Dr. Bedi, appreciate you taking the time and joining us today. First up, Dr. Bedi, your comments on Operation Sindoor, which the government delivered with precision and complete success, and more so with the kind of empathy, with just not the name, but have two women officers front that press briefing coming in from two different faiths.
That is the modern India. That is a progressive India. That's what is a capable India. That's what is all about strong India. And that's what is inclusive India. And that's what is a confident India. This is what India is producing evidence of that. I think it's produced evidence by these surgical strikes, these precision strike, and also do due diligence for 15 days, and then you go to a precision strike, all 9 scored. And and a family, if I believe so, if the information is right, the family of the leader is demolished. So he's got a सबक सीख लिया उसने कि हमारे बच्चों को, हमारी बीवियों को मारा, आदमियों को मारा, उसकी फैमिली भी चली गई. ये हमारी संस्कृति नहीं है. हम ये दिस इज नॉट द वे वी बिलीव कि हमारी मारी तो तुम भी मरे. हम नहीं करते, लेकिन मरवाया तुमने खुद. यू कॉल्ड फॉर इट, एंड यू सी हाउ नेचर जस्टिस इज डन. लॉ ऑफ नेचर. तुमने हमारी फैमिली को बर्बाद किया, तुम्हारी फैमिली भी बर्बाद हो रही. So I think it's we are not for retribution. This is not in our DNA. But if you compel us, then we've proven it that we are. So we have not reacted. We have acted. And action was our duty to do successfully. And we thank all our armed forces, all our and all our leadership. In fact, it's a day of gratitude, not a day of boasting. It's not a day of ego. It's a day of gratitude. And I think with humility, that this is not what we want to do, but if you force us, then we will do it. And we've done it. And we will continue to do it because we've only done 9. There are many others left. Those centers have to be also targeted similarly anytime whenever the leadership so decides. They're all on the radar now.
Dr. Bedi, you know, in the past, where every time India has taken retaliatory action against Pakistan, we've conducted the surgical strikes the last time. These have been, operations that have been delivered, executed with precision. There is so much that goes into it. This time there was something different because not only did we execute an operation with complete precision and a successful operation at that, where we struck 9 terror spots in Pakistan, not just in Pakistan-occupied Kashmir, but also mainland Pakistan, province of Punjab, the headquarters of the LET and the Jaish-e-Mohammed. But what we did differently this time, Dr. Bedi, and that needs to be spoken of as well, is to deliver a balm. The vengeance has been wrapped in empathy and a larger messaging of symbolism back home, where even the name of this operation has proven to be solace for, the Pahalgam widows, Operation Sindoor, where you've had 2 women front to the world when they debriefed not India, not Pakistan, but the entire world on what the fine print of Operation Sindoor was. And they came from 2 different faiths. So you also gave a larger message of unity.
That's exactly what I'm saying. India is producing evidence of what it is saying and what India is. This is what, in fact, the female leadership in our armed forces or in the police forces is right at the top. And they're one of the finest officers we have, and they are at the United Nations. United Nations is always asking in peacekeeping more women contingents. Why? Because they've seen how women perform outstandingly well and how they bring peace in the war-torn places where they've been disputed. We've proven to the world. We have not proven. It's evolved. India has evolved. India is very different from what it was even 15 years ago or even 10 years. Every day it's progressing and it's growing and it's showing and it's becoming more equitable and also more inclusive. That's what it's showing. And the kind of precision our armed forces have shown, they've shown all these years of their capability in these last 25, less than half an hour. They showed it, where they're capable of, whether it was land, whether it was air, or whether it was the sea. All three levels. And also our leadership, our governance, how wisely, statesman-like, how restrainedly, how thoughtfully, how maturely they've acted, not reacted.
Dr. Bedi, what do you think was the thought behind? Because usually what we would have seen was a press conference where we would have seen, men belonging to or officers coming in from all three armed forces sitting in a very formal debrief. That didn't quite happen. We had two women officers. This was clearly by intention, by design, to have these two women front the debrief of Operation Sindoor, and also make it a point that they came from two different faiths, because there's a larger cloud and connotation where the communal rhetoric around this operation has also been strong.
Preeti, it's shown. They've shown that what was happening all along, they made them visible today. They've made our strength visible. And this is how India is growing in India. And I think this is where India was arriving, but it was not making them so visible as today they made them visible. And also about both the faiths. Because this is what India is all about. A very tolerant and inclusive India. That's what Indian society is all about. Where it respects each other and allows each other to exercise their own rights and whatever they wish. So I think India has shown this is true India today. But it was the first time when they made both these women visible. I think it was a larger message that this is what India was already nurturing. And it's only recently, thanks to the Honorable Supreme Court and our armed forces and the policies of the government, that this has happened. I have myself addressed many commanders in the Mao school, many commanders, a large congregation of commanders in the making. You will see more and more women from the combative places right to the top. Very soon another, because they're all in the commander and other situations. We've already had medical doctors at the top of the services, but these are combative where they've shown these. I think it makes India proud and put it in the world of the female world, women world, that India has right at the top.
I'll ask you one final question, Dr. Bedi, before I let you go. Would you think India with this operation has, there's been so much talk over the last 10 days. You've been parts of so many discussions where we speak of deterrence. Has India delivered that deterrence that we've spoken of in the last 10 days?
This is how I feel. I think that's what an ordinary, simple Indian is feeling today. You see those people who'd lost their members of the family in Pahalgam, how the women have felt? They felt as if they've been avenged. I think when I heard them saying today, we feel healed and we feel avenged. I think that is what mattered most. And that's a shared feeling across the length and breadth of this country.
Well, Dr. Bedi, thank you for joining us and taking the time out. And once again, viewers, you cannot emphasize enough on the fact that, yes, this operation was executed, with precision. It's a success, but also the larger messaging that has been delivered. It served as a balm and to some possible closure for what they have gone through over the course of the last 15 to 20 days. And that in itself is huge in terms of messaging and symbolism. Thank you, Dr. Bedi, for taking the time out and joining us. But I want to take you now, viewers, to Operation Sindoor. Why the name Operation Sindoor? Well, it was thought of by the Prime Minister himself. If you remember, viewers, at a rally right after the Pahalgam terror attack, the Prime Minister had made a promise that he will avenge the death of the husbands of the women who lost their husbands in Pahalgam. Listen in to the story of how the Prime Minister picked the name Operation Sindoor. All right, we're going to cut across to that in just a short while. Let's move on and get you the latest blackout drills that are taking place across the country right now. Well, viewers, we had seen civic defense drills this evening, and now what we are witnessing are blackout drills that are taking place across India. And all of this is just a mock drill, not to spread panic, not to be alarmist, but once again, to make sure that the citizens of our country are war ready. We are not going to war yet, but just to make sure that citizens of our country are war ready. This is standard operating procedure. The last time you heard air sirens, we conducted blackout drills, was in the year 1971, viewers, 53 years ago. There are generations in this country that has never seen a war-like situation where these drills could come handy, and just as standard operating procedure, these mock drills have been organized across the country to equip citizens to protect themselves. Earlier this evening, what we had were civic deterrence drills, and now blackout drills. This basically will test emergency infra-like power backup, sirens, communication, prepare systems to operate in degraded or compromised environments, and could be useful if India is faced with an untoward situation or Pakistan embarks on some misadventure. So all of this is only right now a preparation, just mock drills that are taking place across the country. All right, that's the latest that we are getting in. These mock drills taking place across the country, blackout drills. How to prepare for blackout drills? Well, you've got to keep torches avoid stepping outdoors. A blackout drill now taking place in Lucknow, cutting across to my colleague Samarth. Over to you, Samarth.
Well, exactly, Preeti. The mock drill is also happening in Lucknow, and we saw how yesterday civil defense people did the mock drill, and today again they did the mock drill. It started around 7 p.m. We saw the blackout even. We are present at the police lines, as you see in the visuals. CM Yogi Adityanath was also there, and he also left from the space. And if you see the visuals, this was the place where the mock drill actually happened, how the civil defense people saved the civilians, the normal people out here in an attempt to save themselves from any panic-like situation, especially if any enemy country did the airstrike, then how to save yourself. All these things were showed. And you see in the visuals, CM Yogi Adityanath is also right here meeting the people, meeting the civil defense people out here. And that's the spot where the mock drill actually happened. So what we saw in this particular mock drill, they showed the number one siren. You have to save yourselves by going down, covering your ears, bending down with the help of your elbow. And number two, in the second siren, you have to get up and save the people nearby, because second siren also hints that the danger is gone, while the first siren hints that the missile might be coming from the enemy nation. So you have to be alert, and that are the basic things which each and every citizen have to understand, and that's what is happening in the state of Uttar Pradesh as well. We saw the blackout in Lucknow, we saw the mock drill in Lucknow, and now the same thing is happening in the various districts. Yesterday it was the rehearsal, and by tomorrow we can expect some more.
Package was there, producer is saying.
Schools, colleges, as
के लोगों के साथ बातचीत करते हुए माननीय मुख्यमंत्री महोदय आज ये पूरा का पूरा रोमांच उत्तेजना और जोश से भरा।
Well, exactly, Preeti. As I was telling you about the mock drill thing, this is the visuals out here. Cameraman Sanjay will show you how CM Yogi Adityanath has reached here and also met with a lot of people out here from the civil defense. As you see, the people, men in khaki out here. I'll try to speak to some of the people from civil defense. Join me on India Today TV. थोड़ा बताइए, आप लोग जानकारी दीजिए, आप लोग लाइव हैं, किस तरीके से आप लोग बचाएंगे लोगों को, साइलेंस का क्या महत्व है?
इस साइलेंट का बहुत ज़्यादा महत्व है। जब हमला होगा तो हमारा मेन काम यही है कि जो नॉर्मल पब्लिक है उनको हमें ये बताना है कि किस जगह छुपना है। जब वो छुप जाएंगे फिर देखेंगे जब हमला हो जाएगा तो कितने लोग जो है, जितने लोगों को चोट लगी उनको हम नियरेस्ट में।
आज क्या क्या हुआ है यहाँ मॉक ड्रिल?
आज मॉक ड्रिल में यही हुआ कि जो है ब्लैकआउट हुआ है कि हमें कैसे बचना है, जो बाहर के लोग हैं वो कैसे अपने आप को बचाएंगे, फिर उसके बाद जिनको चोट लग गई है उनको कैसे कहाँ पर ले जाएंगे।
सिविल डिफेंस से आप लोगों को ट्रेनिंग मिली है? अच्छा, महिलाएं भी इसमें हैं?
जी जी।
आप लोग कैसे लोगों को बचाएंगे?
हम लोग जैसे हम लोग ट्रेनिंग दी गई वैसे हम लोग बचा लेंगे, लेकिन उन लोगों ने जो सिंदूर नाम दिया है वो हमारे प्रधानमंत्री जी को उन्होंने चैलेंज किया था। उस चैलेंज को हमारे प्रधानमंत्री जी ने बिल्कुल सच करके दिखा दिया। मतलब वो इतने आतंकवादी थे कि उन्होंने वहाँ बोला कि मोदी जी से जाके कह देना, इतनी हिम्मत हो सके आतंकियों में तो इस सारे आतंकियों को चुन चुन को मारा जाए, उसका तब हम लोगों की आत्मा शांति मिलेगी।
एक सिविल डिफेंस होके आप लोग हैं, उसके नाते कितना बड़ा चैलेंज होता है आप लोग के लिए?
ये हम लोग के लिए बहुत बड़ा चैलेंज है कि नॉर्मल पब्लिक को टैकल करना सबसे मुश्किल काम होता है, क्योंकि
पैनिक बड़ा पैनिक में देख रहा हूँ स्टेट वाइड। रिलेटिव्स भी कई फोन कर रहे हैं कि भाई क्या हो जाएगा, उनके लिए क्या संदेश आप लोग देना?
नहीं, इसमें पैनिक नहीं होना चाहिए। जब तक हम लोगों पर, जब तक विरोधी हमसे हमला नहीं करेगा, हम कभी क्यों पहले सतर्क रहें? सतर्क रहने के लिए पहले हम लोग जो है ये मॉक ड्रिल की गई है हम लोगों के लिए।
सतर्क रहें, अपने कर्तव्यों को पूरा करें और हाँ, हम सुरक्षित रहें, औरों को भी सुरक्षित रखें, इसलिए एक प्रोग्राम किया गया है।
So Preeti, you heard them, right? They are from the civil defense and they are trying hard, working hard since yesterday during the rehearsal we saw, and today in front of CM Yogi Adityanath they also did the mock drill and were very active during that particular mock drill. Even fire, some elements were also torched there to give a symbolic look in this particular airstrike.
All right. Samarth, appreciate you joining us once again. Viewers, we want to reiterate, this is just a mock drill which is taking place just to check preparedness where Indian citizens are concerned. Right now, there is no need to panic, not to sound alarmist. We're going to leave it at that. Thank you for joining us. Up next, news and updates continue.
Edge 60 Pro, the edge of excellence.
Long night? You have no idea.
I got you.
Motorola Edge 60 Pro. Hello, Moto.
हम में से कोई जंग नहीं चाहता। हम लोग जो खासकर जम्मू कश्मीर में रहते हैं, क्योंकि अक्सर बेशतर हमने देखा है, चाहे वो इससे पहले जो वार हुए हों या करगिल हुआ हो, वो कहीं ना कहीं जम्मू कश्मीर को ही हिट कर जाता है। हम तो चाहेंगे कि हालात जो हैं वो दोबारा ठीक बने, लेकिन उसके लिए पहले हमारे जो पड़ोसी मुल्क हैं उनको अपनी बंदूकें शांत करनी होंगी। यहाँ से फिर बंदूक चलेगी नहीं।
Weather forecast now. Delhi, maximum 35 and minimum 24 degrees. Mumbai, maximum 30 and minimum 23 degrees. Kolkata, maximum 41 and minimum 26 degrees. Bangalore, maximum 34 and minimum 26 degrees. Chennai, maximum 35 and minimum 24 degrees. Hyderabad, maximum 38 and minimum 23 degrees.
Make your media plan smarter with India Today Live TV on your connected devices. Amplify your brand with 100 million smart internet viewers. To advertise, mail us at sales@aajtak.com.
Co-powered by the bold look of Kohler. No stress Phenolics.
Hello and welcome to an India Today special broadcast. It's the biggest counter-terror offensive launched by India in the heart of Pakistan's military jihad infrastructure. At Bahawalpur in southern Punjab province of Pakistan and in Murid Ke, this is heart of Pakistan's Punjab. And the 9 targets included 5 in Pakistan-occupied Jammu and Kashmir and 4 in Punjab province of Pakistan. This actually hits at the nerve center of that Pakistani Punjabi Musalman mindset that's reflective not just of the Pakistan army but also Lashkar-e-Taiba and Jaish-e-Mohammed. And over the course of the next 1 hour, we decode not just the strikes but the road ahead. It's very tricky. The next 24 to 48 hours are going to be very, very tricky. Will Pakistan launch a swift counter-offensive, a swift retort 2.0? What will Pakistan do next? Let's first decode India's big strikes on Pakistan state-sponsored radical Islamist terror.
25 minutes. Nine terror targets. Series of precision strikes. Rafales, missiles and drones. One target, Pakistani terror masterminds. Operation Sindoor decoded. Big focus on India first.
Now, this offensive was barely a couple of kilometers away from the 31 Corps headquarters of the Pakistan Army at Bahawalpur. Pakistan also has a secret nuclear facility not far from that area. And just a couple of kilometers away from the 4 Corps headquarters of the Pakistan Army at Murid Ke, or close to Lahore. Murid Ke is where Lashkar-e-Taiba has its headquarters. Now, these attacks would have sent a chill down Pakistan Army's spine. And why? Sandeep Unnithan and I will tell you much more about this over the course of the next 1 hour, and we'll be joined by several military experts and analysts. Now, why? Because the Rafale fighters that can fire the Scalp cruise missile and the Hammer bombs at terror headquarters in Pakistan, if they can fire at the terror headquarters, in case Pakistan dares to escalate, in case Pakistan dares to strike at any military installation, at any brigade headquarters or a division or a corps headquarters in India or a vital asset or vital point, clearly the Pakistan Army Corps headquarters and even our para, the ISI headquarters, the GHQ in Rawalpindi, will they not be directly in the line of fire of the scalps, the hammers, and much more, including the BrahMos supersonic cruise missiles that the Indian Armed Forces have. We get to these details. Will Pakistan escalate? What is the meaning of the blackout exercises that are currently underway across multiple districts in our country? We get you all these details. I'm Gaurav Sawant.